Now to the U.S., where Florida is being hit by a major hurricane after racing across the Gulf of Mexico. Hurricane Helene has made landfall in Florida. Officials are warning of a nightmare scenario of heavy winds and high storm surges. Helene hit Florida's Big Bend area on the Gulf Coast as a Category 4 storm, but has since been downgraded. Almost 1 million homes and businesses have lost power supply. Residents in some areas faced mandatory evacuation orders, and those who stayed were advised to write their names on their bodies in marker pen. Helene is expected to bring significant damage to much of the southeastern United States, with a state of emergency declared in 6 states. Let's get the very latest now from meteorologist and journalist Matthew Capucci. He is in Florida monitoring the storm from a safe place with a phone connection. Matthew, Hurricane Helene has made landfall. What sort of impact is it having?
Yeah, so I was inside the eye wall, the innermost ring of winds associated with Helene. I got gusts of 160 to 170 kilometers per hour. My entire vehicle, a roughly, 1.5-ton truck, was whipping to and fro. I had to angle it into the wind because I was afraid it was going to basically tip or be flipped. We saw sheet metal flying. We saw the power immediately go out. Tree damage all over the place. I've had to backtrack on multiple routes. I'm kind of in the middle of nowhere right now, which is why you can't see me. The cell network has been struggling, understandably so. One of my colleagues reported several towers knocked down, whether it be cell towers, internet towers, unclear. But the other issue, too, we had a dangerous surge at the coastline. Tampa Bay saw a surge of roughly 2 meters, but farther north, we were anticipating a surge of between 3 and 5 meters. We don't really have any information yet as to how bad a surge was realized. Thankfully, that area was somewhat rural, and it was also heavily evacuated. So hopefully most folks got away from the beaches. But I can tell you the impacts are still ongoing. Even though they're waning in Florida, we have like 1.6 million customers without power. And now the core of the storm, which has since weakened some, but it's still producing winds around 120, 130 kilometers per hour, is moving into southern Georgia, causing widespread power outages and very harsh conditions for a place that is usually far enough inland to avoid the impacts.
So you're saying that there could still be 5-meter storm surges. That's huge. How are people in Florida, where you are, coping with this?
Well, now that the core has passed inland and the winds have switched directions because the hurricane is a big counterclockwise spinning storm, the surge is actually no longer a concern. It would be pushed out to sea. That said, where any water came in, it might be, still lingering there, but for the most part, any water that came inland is draining. But anytime we have a storm like this, we tell folks, run from the water, hide from the wind. It's easy to shelter from wind by being inside a sturdy building, but it's very difficult to hide from water. The only thing you can do is outrun it, especially in situations like this where the water can penetrate far inland, thanks to how widespread the winds are and how easy it is to pile water against the coast, especially when the slope of the seafloor is pretty flat.
Now, there were dire warnings attached to this hurricane, with forecasters saying it had the potential to be catastrophic. Does it still have that kind of potential, Matthew?
Well, the good news, it's been downgraded to a Category 2, and I do suspect in the coming hours it will weaken to a Category 1 hurricane. So the impacts are beginning to lessen. That said, the worst of it is already done, and of course, it's about 2:12 in the morning local time here. I suspect we won't really know the extent of the damage until morning. I can tell you that driving through, as I head back towards central Florida in an effort to find any electricity and services, I can tell you that driving through, I saw a mobile home that was demolished, multiple gas station canopies that were down, widespread tree damage, and that's just based on what I could see. And mind you, I can't really see all that much given how dark it is and how there's just no electricity anywhere. So I suspect come morning we'll have a better idea of the scope of the damage, and I think folks will be surprised by how widespread structural damage was in this part of the county.
Matthew, thank you so much. That was journalist and meteorologist Matthew Capucci.
Thank you.
We appreciate people of God today, the 25th day of May 2024. At this hour, I come in the mighty name of Jesus to share with you a vision. That's 10 minutes ago, I had a vision. right here where I am. And that vision, I saw that I am in a place. This is a bridge, a runway bridge crossing the sea. And there the storm came from the waters, swallowing and came almost carrying. I cried. Pressure people, and I came back to normal, amazed and crying. Pressure people, there's a storm coming to a nation. This nation that borders the sea, a very humongous storm. Standing power, the waves are coming. I have seen the waves are coming to this nation. This nation near an ocean. This is an island. I think it was an island. When you see there was ocean surrounding, there was water surrounding the land. This is an island. Pressure people of God across the globe, there's an island. The storm, heavy storm is coming. Heavy storm is coming and havoc. Remember, this storm was coming to swallow me on that bridge. And I cried. When I was crying and crying, and now I come back to normal in a vision. Pressure people, this is a terrible. This is a storm coming. A storm, a tsunami-like storm. A tsunami-like storm. A tsunami is coming. This is a magnitude of high. A tsunami is coming to an island. This island, I have just seen it right now when I'm sitting here. Pressure people of this nation. I'm praying for this nation. I cry for this nation, that these things that I've seen this nation may not come to happen. And those people who love the nation of the earth, this is how now to cry. I've been to cry for the Lord, that these things may not happen to this nation. Shalom, shalom, be blessed.
Florida, USA, September 27, 2024. Major Hurricane Helene come roaring ashore into Florida's Big Bend region as a catastrophic Category 4 cyclone, lashing the region with hurricane-force winds and threatening with a potentially unsurvivable 2-foot storm surge and flooding rain. Helene made landfall around Taylor County, Florida, between Tallahassee and Tampa, with impacts felt hundreds of miles away. The hurricane storm surge was significant enough to trigger water rescues from the Big Bend to southwest Florida, and mobile homes were even said to be floating in the coastal town of Steinhatchee.
Well, the water.
Surge flooding in parts of the Tampa Bay area already topped previous modern era records from 2023's Idalia or earlier. Clearwater Beach reported about 6.7 feet of inundation or above average high tide, easily surpassing its previous record from the March 1993 superstorm. The St. Petersburg Gorge, about 9.1 feet of inundation, also crushed its previous modern era record from 1985's Hurricane Elena. Over 8.5 feet of inundation was reported by a gorge at Cedar Cay, Florida, much higher than that from Hurricane Idalia in August 2023, or 6.84 feet. Significant flooding was also reported at Fort Myers Beach and Naples, where gorges measured 4 to 5 feet of surge inundation. According to a ham radio operator, water 5 to 6 feet above normal levels was observed in the Punta Gorda Canal network.
Gents, ladies, everybody, that water flowing through that new building now.
Tampa Bay is facing a night of powerful gusts, torrential rain, and dangerous storm surges as the storm marches past the region on its way to the Big Bend. Power outages have soared as the center of Helen has moved ashore the coast. More than 1 million were without power in the Sunshine State as wind gusts neared or even exceeded hurricane force strength. St. Petersburg recorded an 82 mph gust, while Sarasota saw a 74 mph wind gust. Significant outages were also reported in Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. Fox Weather's Ian Oliver said the surge quickly submerged streets around St. Pete Beach on Thursday evening, with high tide several hours away, and further south in a community called Sunset Beach. Local fire rescue said it would no longer respond to calls for survive due to the flooding.
Near Main Street. That water is
Helen was set to smash into Florida's Big Bend region late Thursday, according to an 11 p.m. update from the National Hurricane Center. That update described a monster storm. Maximum sustained winds were blowing 140 miles per hour, bringing deadly storm surge all around Florida's west coast. Helen is so massive, tropical storm force winds extended a staggering 310 miles from its center. People who live on the Pinellas Beach had been told that they were putting themselves at great risk if they didn't evacuate ahead of Hurricane Helen. On Thursday evening, county officials closed off bridge access to the island communities as unbelievable storm surge flooding swamped Gulf Boulevard and reached communities from St. Pete Beach northward. On Beach community residents said he had never seen anything like it in the 25 years he has lived here. The 5 feet of water in his backyard made his sliding glass back door look like the side of an aquarium. 4 water monitors in the region have broken previous surge records for Tampa Bay, with water levels measuring more than 6 feet over normal cycles in each area.
She's my daughter, and I am her mother, so we do drive each other up a wall sometimes, but yeah, she's my favorite person.
Many landfalling hurricanes also produce a tornado threat to the right, or in this case east, of where the center tracks. Parts of Florida, southeast Georgia, and eastern South Carolina have the greatest chance of a few tornadoes through early Friday morning.